Hey, if you want some really easy ways to add some exercise that will give you more circulation for tone and more definition in your arms, this is it,
Before we dive in here, let me give you a real quick anatomy kinesiology lesson, and that is when we're talking about the arms, we're talking about several things. We're talking about the biceps, talking about the triceps. So biceps flex at the elbow, triceps extend the elbow and the shoulder, and we're also talking somewhat about the shoulders. So those medial, anterior, and posterior deltoids that elevate here, we raise things up here, we move them back here. Those kinds of movements are great. And when we're talking about truly strength training, you got to remember we can only do that 2 to 3 times a week. We need a minimum of 48 hours in between to recover, and some of us are busy enough, twice weekly is enough. What can we do in between? Well, plenty. Here we go.
You may never think of a plank the same, but think about what you're doing. Whether you're up here on your hands or you're on your forearms, you're basically preventing yourself from collapsing. So you are doing a static, isometric exercise of the triceps. Now with biking, if you're either up and extended, but much more so if you're in what we call aerodynamic, leaning on the elbows, and basically it's a plank, you are putting a little bit more weight on your upper body. Again, you're preventing yourself from face planting. That is tricep extension work. So yes, welcome to biceps. Here we go. This is boxing. This is how you get biceps and triceps as well as your shoulders involved in punches like jabs, crosses, and you're gonna love the way you feel. Swimming is another one of my favorite activities. And look, if you can't swim, it's a skill related thing, I get it. You could still move through the water walking in the same way you might stroke, but you could backstroke, breaststroke, side stroke, or crawl your way to more toned arms. Next is yoga. Look at these yoga poses. Again, it's like a push-up. You're using your arms. It's like a plank. Here you go. Body weight dependent on your arms for pushing up and you're not collapsing. So many poses are actually great arm work. So when you go to yoga, keep it in mind. Inevitably, the question is, how much of each of these do I need to do? Well, if you mix it up, you don't have to do any one of them on a regular basis. You could swim one day, you could box another, you could spin another, you can do planks on one day. Doing something most days of the week for your triceps is going to be beneficial. Look, if you have an active job, that also might apply. So here's the deal. Just make sure that several days a week you're getting something that is tricep specific in addition to your strength training exercises. That's the secret. Stay with me. If you think you can't do a pull-up, I get it. It's hard. You got to stay with it. But there are ways to use assisted support even without a person. So you can do this at your gym with an assisted machine where you plug in, I'm going to do 20%, will you assist me 80%, and very gradually increase. Here I'm using super bands at home. So I'm putting my foot and you see 2 bands right there if you look closely. It's helping me do the work. Here's me setting it up at a gym. So you do need a pull-up bar or you need an apparatus like I've got at home so that you're doing this either in your gym, at home, basement, garage, or you're here doing it on something that's already existing at the gym, ready and waiting for you. But I can here do a pull-up no matter where I'm at. Just starting out, I'm able to do this. This is an excellent activity. Now it is much more like strength training. You may need a little rest between this one and other things. A bonus. So fun activities during the summertime or in warm weather climates, if that's where you're at, stand-up paddleboarding. It's excellent for your arms. And you should also be thinking now about, okay, well, kayaking and canoeing, other warm water activities. And look, if you haven't water skied in a while and you feel ready, if you tell me that's not an arm workout and you come back afterwards, I'm gonna not believe you did any water skiing. So there's tons of ways you can fit it in. Let's review the difference though between doing these lifetime activities and cardio versus strength training. When you're doing strength training, remember, you need a minimum of 48 hours rest and recovery between truly reaching muscular fatigue or getting close to it, because that's when you get stronger. 2 to 3 times a week is as much as you can fit in. Those of us that are busy, remember, twice weekly gets you almost 95% of the results. Notice my speed here. I'm going a little faster because the weights are much lighter, and I'm doing this on purpose. So it's power, and going with speed under control is still okay. So you might do 3 to 5 sets, working your way up to that, and your repetition range is going to depend on whether you're a beginner. You're going to go higher repetitions because that will be a lighter weight. As you get stronger and more experienced, you want to fatigue at fewer repetitions, and that will mean it's got to be a heavier weight in order to do that. Notice this long lever I'm doing. This is still a bicep exercise as well as the front of your deltoid or your shoulders. So again, got to have a minimum of 48 hours between. You may need longer than that. Now look, if you're moving kids in boxes you're carrying, you may need more. But most of these activities like boxing and swimming or stand-up paddleboarding, you can do a weight workout the next day as well.
So there you have it. It's all about increasing circulation. So yes, you want to be doing your strength training exercises that focus on major muscle groups like the chest, the back muscles, lower body muscles, because that overall is going to reduce total body fat and visceral adiposity, specifically to the belly fat. So you're going to see the muscles that you've got, the muscle tone and the definition in the arms. Sure, specifically bicep curls, tricep extension, shoulder work is going to help you see some tone and definition around the muscles specifically, but going right to those is a mistake. Focus on those major muscle groups in terms of strength training. Fit in those extracurricular ones directly for smaller muscle groups in addition. But the magic about these is when you're swimming, you're boxing, or even just simply stabilizing in a plank or in forearms in an arrow position on a bike, is we're increasing the circulation. And whenever we get more blood flow, more circulation to an area, we have more good things happening. For instance, you get injured, what happens? We have more circulation there. It's causing heat and inflammation, but that is a part of the healing process. Same thing when we digest, we eat a meal, the blood flow goes here so that we can digest really well. Well, similarly, send some love to those triceps by getting your arms out of the way, away from your body, moving them specifically, flexion and extension. All of that is going to help you see more muscle tone and get the most benefit out of all the exercise you're doing. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell if you want notifications when a new video drops, and ask me a question down below and let me know if this was helpful.